Hey, Sherry.
After reading that, I am even less eager to return home than before.
Seems as if the letter was
Let's
delivered
investigate our
recently.
manor.
That's the Mycroft I know. Predictable.
There she is. Our old manor. It's smaller than I remember.
You were a couple of feet shorter back then, Sherry. Or maybe it's bigger on the inside.
Look at the ash all over the door. I don't recall hearing of a fire.
We don't have to stay here. You can afford another night or two at the hotel.
It's stuck.
Oh well, let's just head back. They probably haven't even stripped our room yet.
Come on. Must be locked.
Move aside. Let me have a go. Seems fine to me, Sherry. This barrier, perhaps it's mental, not physical.
Or perhaps the rest of us are simply constrained by reality, John. I wonder if there's a key secreted somewhere in the garden.
Take a look around, Sherlock. I'm sure you'll discover something.
I did not expect these to still be here. It was enjoyable to practice using real handcuffs to make an arrest. An irreplaceable tool for catching a thief. And this must be the reason our suspect was apprehended. Wood and glass, oh, very precious.
Hey, that's Wooden Joe. He was always the best at playing criminals.
Funny, Wooden Joe reminds me of the trouble we once got in with the police. Do you remember, John?
Somewhat. Maybe we can recall more details.
Why does this barn give me such an unpleasant feeling?
Oh, I know. It's because Mycroft used an axe to shoo you out of here. It scarred you for life, but I enjoyed it.
The policeman brought us both home, John. That's why he was here.
I'm pretty sure he brought something else with him too. Do you remember what it was? I bet it was our reward.
No, we were not so lucky. It was a set of lockpicks that we had used to sneak into someone's house. That's why we were arrested.
Did someone come out to investigate all the commotion?
It was Mycroft. He smoothed things over and convinced the policeman not to press charges. The officer left and never returned. But we had to endure a serious talking to from my brother. Mycroft wasn't happy about the fact that we were arrested. It felt like he lectured us for hours.
Did we give him something afterwards, Sherry?
Oh, yes. Yes, now I remember. It was a letter. That's why we snuck into the house. Mycroft asked us to. He wasn't angry we stole, but that we got caught.
Oh, that's right. It must have been only a couple of months after we moved to Cordona. Ugh, the good old days. Whoa.
How very odd. It appears that memory stood between me and the manor. It's as if my mind palace had seeped into the real world. This deserves further investigation. Perhaps there's more to discover inside.
As long as there is a comfortable place to put my feet up, I'll be happy. Maybe a chaise longue.
Aha! In we go.
Home sweet home.
One of the first
Sherry.
things I saw when entering this house as a child. It's like déjà vu. Mycroft's umbrella, the only outgoing thing in his wardrobe. Hey, this is the luggage we brought from London, isn't it? I remember how angry Mycroft was about these marks. He called it a frivolous, childish endeavour. I think our family portrait used to hang here.
And I was wondering why it's so empty in here.
There may be a small chance that some of our property could be found among local traders' wares.
Another
Something
memory
did happen
incoming,
that day,
Sherry.
but
Agreed.
strange. I struggle to
It's
recall
rather
anything about the
suspicious.
day we moved in. The only detail I'm sure of is that it was raining early that morning. This trip was a challenge for our mother. I tried to help her. There was always a hat on our stand, but I'm sure it did not belong to our mother brought a slew of belongings with her. She refused to leave a single thing in London. Mycroft had to spend the whole day dealing with it.
Do you feel it? Is it the air shimmering, or is it my imagination?
Your neighbors will be told that Mrs. Holmes is suffering from tuberculosis. It is common to move closer to the sea in such cases.
Thank you, Dr. Richter. No, Sherlock, step away from her. Upstairs, go to your room.
Lean on me, Mother. Take your time.
Actually, I never heard her coughing. I remember now.
Oh, I feel dizzy. It's stuffy in here, isn't it?
John, are you all right?
I'll be okay in a minute. How about we find our room in the meantime?
Look at this. It's like traveling 10 years into the past with a single step. Oddly satisfying. Interesting. What's that over there? This doorknob has a cross-shaped end. Too intricate to be merely a handle.
You know what? That definitely looks like a key. Let's poke
The
around
only
and
fiction
see if
book
we
on
can
my
find
table.
any secrets.
I can still hear my mother reading it to me. So many pleasant evenings were spent here with the Encyclopedia Americana. Perfect match. My small archive of crime clippings. Maybe I should pick up this habit again. Made of cherry wood, Father's favourite. Still has a faint odour of tobacco, one of the few things on this island that smell like home.
I knew you'd find it in no time. Oh, it reminds me of our neighbour. He had the same balloon in his yard, only bigger. Do you remember?
Yes, we visited him several times while living here. Cannot believe all my toys are still here.
Hey, they were not just yours, they were half mine too.
An artifact from Palau carved out of bone and claimed to be 300 years old. My mother proved it was a fake. My very favourite plaything. It was the perfect pirate treasure. The first chemical laboratory I ever made. I almost miss its elegant simplicity.
Coal dust from Miner's End, sandy dirt from the old city. We scoured the island top to bottom for these soil samples. Wasn't that neighbour missing a finger?
That does sound vaguely familiar. Wasn't his name, Theodore? Theodore Gilden, perhaps?
It's the perfect time to investigate.
That wretch Goliath would murder us all. Mark my words.
He was certainly under pressure.
It's seen a lot of use. The blade is worn from grinding. A sailor's knife useful for cutting wet and thick ropes. A coal gas tank, enough to pump up an airship. Fresh signs of impact. A rough landing led to an altercation with this shed. Oof, a contortionist you were not. A missing pinky, middle-aged. It's none other than Theodore Gilden. Disjointed vertebrae. Difficult to say if it was a way to start or finish him off. A kneecap reduced to splinters. A belt from a dressing gown. Curious.
Oh boy, Sherlock. Another death means another question.
And we shall answer the question. It's far too interesting to give it up to the police.
Poke the elephant with this? Really? People are hopeless.
A strong pull broke this leash. A pool of blood and saliva, possibly as a result of impact.
Sherlock, take a picture of the footprint. It's valuable evidence. This photograph can help us find the old article about the elephants. The front page was fascinating. It was hard to believe as a child.
True. We may need it in our investigation.
You're not even trying, Sherry. Concentrate.
In a fit of rage, the elephant broke the chain and threw its victim on the ground with a fierce power. Escaping the scene, it pulled the body with it, but dropped it at the gate. At least some of this was witnessed by a third party who was hurled against the shed. The elephant can't have gone too far. I can still track it.
Well, suppose you find it. Then what? Push it all the way back to the manor?
Can you satisfy my curiosity?
That's a question I can answer.
The elephant barged into this cart of Oregon.
What if we're lucky and he slipped and fell somewhere along the way? Okay, hear me out. If an elephant falls in the forest and there's no one around to...
John, no.
Oh, you're such a killjoy.
strange. It was hung with care. The game has escaped us, for now. We'll find a solution to the elephant problem later.
You. Who are you?
My name is Sherlock Holmes. Theodore Gilden was...
Did you kill him? Did you kill the elephant?
It's not in the yard anymore. It escaped into the forest.
You can't let it go. What if it returns?
I highly doubt that, Miss.
Imogen Gilden. Please, I beg of you, find that dreadful beast that killed my father.
I suppose we do need to learn what happened. Focus. Be clear and concise. What happened? Just the facts.
I was here, packing my bags. My father was with the elephant. Then I heard the noise. Goliath made such a horrifying scream. Through my window, I saw how it lifted my father by his neck. So I ran downstairs. The elephant was dragging my father's lifeless body. I threw stones at the monster, so it dropped him. Then Goliath ran screaming, and I came back here and hid.
That is a terrifying experience, Miss Gilden. I'm sorry you had to go through it.
Thank you. Goliath must be caught, Mr. Holmes.
Well, thank you for the information, Miss Gilden. I did have some questions for your father. Perhaps you might help me with them?
I wasn't privy to much of my father's life, and it's very hard to think of anything at all with Goliath still loose. Please, Mr. Holmes.
Very well. Do you mind if I ask you more questions if I find anything that might help?
Anything to catch that monster.
I have to leave. A commendable effort to barricade the windows. False idols? Oh, sounds utterly dreary. She packed as much as she could carry. The same dull poses on all romantic photographs. So idyllic. Enjoy your happily ever after before it stales.
Hey, Sherry, we need to talk. You found false idols. We need to find the remaining two.
What does bazooka even mean? Would this paper be good for anything but blowing one's nose on?
They're not rubbish, Sherry. There's something more. I'm serious.
Very well. I doubt it'll be worth it, but I will find them for you, John.
You'll thank me later. They're some of the most imaginative books I've ever read.
What did you say?
Speaking aloud helps me think. How can you read something like this? It's hard to swallow, and that's not due to the hard cover.
You're hardly serious. Any library without Nabe and Laura is incomplete. If you can read, then these books are an absolute must. Love and adventure. They're about life.
Oh, I wasn't aware that exploding pyramids were a part of daily life on Cordona.
You haven't seen life, so you might try reading about it at least.
I found this. Who's this young lad next to you, your faithful knight?
Paul. He's my pirate. He's not really a pirate. I just call him that. It probably sounds very silly.
Your secret is safe in my hands. Does Paul work somewhere? What is his surname?
His name is Paul Perks. He and his yacht Whirlpool are the champions of the Salacia Yacht Club. He sails there. I'll show you where it is on the map, if you need to meet him.
A yachting champion? Huh. Well, that will be a first. I prefer dry land. And so does my suit. These bags of yours, it looks as if you've packed your entire room. Were you planning on going somewhere?
My partner and I, we wanted a change, a fresh start abroad. But now I have to stay here. Here, an orphan. I don't have any thoughts on this. I'm afraid I can't add anything useful.
Did you observe anyone else in the yard? Any of your servants, perhaps?
Servants? Do you imagine that we would have any with Goliath? No one wishes to work in this house, even for double pay. I didn't see anyone else. Only my father and that diabolical beast.
Had Goliath been aggressive before?
It's dangerous, but it was never aggressive near my father. My father would do anything for Goliath. All the elephant had to do was clap its ears.
You envied him, the elephant, I mean?
Our house is called the House of Ivory. I've heard some people refer to me as the Ivory Girl, and my room stinks of the animal, as if it's me who lives in a pen and not Goliath. It's not envy, Mr. Holmes. It's just incredibly difficult to live like this.
Miss Gilden, I was on this island 10 years ago, and your father knew my mother, but I do not
I can't think of anything else right now.
Quite the spectrum. From the history of the mother. It's nice to see her young and smiling. From before Mycroft was born. Our family loves to prod at the past.
Holmes's desire to rake up the past is hereditary.
What's so special about this place? Another elephant? A partnership annulled with a single stroke of a pen. A catchy title. I should take a photograph of the plans. I don't want to carry them around. His second child? An apparent son and heir, I'd say. Oh, the pungent stench of an animal.
Did Theodore seek some pink elephants with this?
I think Miss Gilden has barely matured. I think they were closer than you and me, John.
I'm hurt.
A relatively functional choice to replace the finger. The nicest spot in the room. Mr. Gilden spent hours of his life right here.
Staring at an elephant's backside. What a wonderful life.
And, which part of the elephant is in here? It's quite pungent.
Oh, that. It's elephant sweat. Father believed that it might replace traditional ambergris.
Well, that's true entrepreneur spirit. A. Swift, is this name familiar to you? Your father had it removed from this plan.
Oh, that's Arthur Swift. I've seen him a couple of times here. He works with my father in the old city, digging up something ancient.
He is an archaeologist?
That's the word, yes. But to be truthful, I really don't think Mr. Swift is fit to be one. I've just learnt a lot about archaeology from my favourite book series. Oh, they are page-turners.
Inspirational, I'm sure, but would you happen to know where this Mr. Swift might be found?
I don't, but perhaps you can find out somewhere. My father's work with him is all official. Lots of boring legal papers with signatures and stuff.
He's even been putting up posters.
He's even been putting up posters.
Does it look remotely familiar to you?
Should it?
Are you lost, sir?
Not at all. I'm right where I need to be. I'm Sherlock Holmes, by the way.
Ursula Oni, the chief archivist. How can I help you exactly?
I need to take a look at the history of Cordona and its islanders to retrieve some, hopefully, useful information.
Your brother Mycroft told me that you were direct, and now that we've met, I can see that is true.
Someone in our family has to balance the evasive nature of my brother. Well, may I use the city archives?
You may, of course, but in return, perhaps dinner?
That's a high price to pay for looking at your archives.
I was teasing you. Pay no attention to me.
With your love for archives, you would have made the perfect bureaucrat.
Guests of Cordona, the treasures await you. Collect them all and return for more.
Selam. Seni görmek.
From day to night, Aiden stands there, recruiting non-rebellious workers for the dig. From day to night, Aiden stands there. You're being an eyesore. No entry for you. From day to night. From day to night, Aiden stands there, recruiting non-rebellious workers for the dig.
Is this familiar to you?
Why should I From day to night, Aiden stands there, recruiting non-rebellious workers for the dig.
Çok sıcak değil mi? Yakında yağmur yağacak. Merhaba.
Hiç vaktim yok.
İyi iş çıkardın. Nasılsın?
From day to
Buranın sıcaklarını seviyorum.
I was being very stealthy, Sherlock, and you threw it all away. Come on, pull yourself together. From day to night.
Ne haber? Bakın. Selam.
The market square, beating heart of the old city.
I wonder if they still sell that just right around the corner.
Stop blocking the view. Stop blocking the view.
Closer and the finest clothes for the finest citizens. Of course. Think it over. Take your time.